Alright, let's talk about Guardian Defense. So let's look at the tree first. In the tree, we've got a few items that I'm going to recommend. So this right here, let's start at 43. Direct damage to taunted targets generates 1 focus and heals you for 1% of your max health. So damage to taunted targets. That is, you're going to need that extra focus because of something I'm going to recommend for you in a minute. So these others are great, but that one kind of necessary for what I'm going to show you now. Everything else, nothing else kind of really matters. I don't really use Cyclone Slash, so I grab Blade Burst, and that works well with Unyielding Justice. Those work fine together. I mean, you might want to pick something else. I will also recommend this one here at level 68. Saber Reflect is great, but has a 1-minute cooldown, whereas Blade Blitz has a 35-second cooldown. So that's almost, it's about 3 times to 1, 3 to 1 ratio. So pick what you like, but I kind of like the Blade Blitz a little better because you can time things and get a little more damage. And Warding Strike increases your damage reduction. Damage reduction is different than your shield and your shield and your critical chance. Shield chance and absorption chance. Damage reduction is completely different. It's a completely different way things work. It's just a straight up less damage that you take from, I believe, all sources. It's not a one or the other. I think that's going to cover it just about. Guardian Slash deals more damage to taunted targets. I like that one, whereas this one, does a little bit more defense. And let's move on to the gear. So the gear, whatever on the gear, I don't min-max my gear. All my tunes share my gear, so it's going to be little not min-maxed. I'm just wearing whatever because my Vanguard and my Shadows and all of my Guardians share this same exact gear, so it's whatever. But I do want to show you one thing real quick. Don't put any accuracy at all into a tank. So for a tank wearing nothing, just being naked, is going to have a 111 accuracy. I'm going to go ahead and use this Fortitude stem for healing, for more health, because percent healing is a thing. So I'm going to percent heal sometimes, and therefore I will use a more health, not a mastery stem and not a critical stem. And then alacrity, I think, is 0. Yeah, 0 alacrity. Or oh, that's from this. If I was borrowing this, yeah, whatever. Just usually I have 0 alacrity. And let's see. Oh, and grit teeth. So you don't have to use grit teeth. There's some other ones. That's fine. Use whatever tactical you want. Grit teeth is fine. I think Leviathan Hide maybe. There's some other ones. Just make sure you're doing what it's doing. So this one works with Saber Ward. Saber Ward works well with Riposte. So what I want to draw your attention to one more time, is the Retaliator package. Riposte has no cooldown. So if Riposte has no cooldown, and keep in mind that Riposte does not respect the global cooldown, meaning you can infinitely do it. So now if the Guardian, if your enemy is taunted, then you can infinitely hit Riposte. So taunt will make you generate focus per every direct hit, plus it will heal you, plus it has no cooldown, plus it does not respect the global cooldown. Meaning as long as you're taking white damage, you can infinitely spam Riposte as long as a target is taunted. So as long as you meet the criteria, you can do millions of damage, like forever, millions of damage, as long as you meet the criteria. It won't ever happen like that, but it's theoretical. All right, so let's talk about the rotation real quick. So Saber Throw, just go ahead and start the battle, and then your gap closer. So that'll give you some damage started. What you want to do is start damaging before you taunt. So this is the only class that I would ever say go ahead and put a taunt in your opener. The other classes, I would say don't use a taunt opener at all, because very few classes can rip aggro from you anyway, and even if they do, you have a taunt available as long as you don't open with it. If you open with a taunt, that's not what you need to do, because taunt is a threat multiplier. So I'll give you an example. If I opened with threat taunt right now, what would happen is I have generated 0 taunt. 0 aggro table, like there's an aggro table, 0, because no one has damaged this target. All I'm saying is, hey, you must target me, which means I have 0 threat. So in the fact that you're doing 3 damaging attacks first, then taunting, you're multiplying all the threat that you already generated. It's a 1-to-1 ratio. If you for these particular moves, it's a 1-to-1 ratio, and then beyond that, some of these others are multipliers. So threat generation, as long as you're damaging, you're also generating threat, and then you have a multiplier. So let's skip the challenging call. That's your AoE taunt. I'm going to save that one, and then your threatening focus will damage any targets that are taunted. So in this instance, this guy is going to be taunted for 6 seconds. Boom, he will also take damage additional. So I have that in there because usually I use challenging call and then threatening focus right away. Every enemy around me has now been damaged. So automatically, not only am I've taunted them to force them, I've also generated threat because I've now damaged them as well. So it's one and the other. And then oftentimes, I'll even swap these around. Sometimes I'll swap these around to get these in a different order. But what I like to do is I'll damage them first, then I'll taunt them. So now I've done a damage multiplier. So now we've got damage, damage, threat multiplier, and then additional threat. So this is an AoE combo that you can do. So then this will it's in there. I mean, it's going to do damage. It's going to do damage. And then Blade Storm, it's going to do damage. You've got a couple of things on the tree that you can pick to help a little bit. It does a little bit more damage from further range. It's not really a gap closer, but you can hit things from a little bit farther away if they kind of sneak out of your range. And then you got your Hilt Bash, which will stun them in place. It has a really long cooldown. And then your Force Stasis. Both of these are very similar in their damage and in their stun. So it's like a 4-second stun, a 4-second stun, and it'll kind of hold them in place. So your Force Push, you can use that after, and then use your Gap Closer right away. And let's talk about your defensives. So again, let's talk about the Blade Blitz. Well, of course, your Force Kick. If you see someone interrupt something that needs to be interrupted, you need to interrupt it. You can't count on your DPS doing it. They're thinking about that, and your healers definitely aren't going to be interrupting because they just don't enter. I mean, that's not their job. They would probably miss anyway. So one thing I would like to have you change, if you go into your interface editor, what you're going to want is you're going to see there is a cast bar. Your target's cast bar. Your target has a cast bar. You see that cast bar? I want you to put your target cast bar near your interrupt, wherever your interrupt is. So I normally have it elsewhere. I have my cast bar elsewhere. So my target's cast bar is going to be nearby so if I see it, I'm going to hit it. If I see it, I hit it. And that's just help. That's a helpful thing that I like to use. You don't have to, but I like to use it. Let's get rid of this thing. I don't like this thing. Let's scale that down. Goodbye. See ya. All right. No, let's save that. All right. Next, the interrupt, your purging incapacity movements, your Blade Blitz. We already talked about that one. And then your Save Award. Your Save Award works with your Riposte. I've already mentioned that, but every time you take damage, this will actually reduce if you're using Grit's Teeth. If not, that's fine. This is your just kind of all-around damage reduction because whatever. It's not for white or yellow, and it's for anything. This is for white specifically, white damage specifically, and then that's for kind of whatever. And then your dispatch, if it's on cooldown, might as well hit it, and that is it. If you have force and all of these are off are cooling down, spam that slash until you run out of force. So 2 things I'll say to spam at all times is slash and spam Riposte all the time. If Riposte is available, you hit it at all times. No matter what, you'll be hitting Riposte. And then if you run out of force, hit that strike. So you will run out of force, and you can use these 2, and that's just fine. Because your job is not damage, your job is threat generation. Because as soon as Warding Strike comes off cooldown, you're going to be boom, 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 this 3 combo right here. You will never lose aggro. After this first taunt, you'll never lose aggro ever again. And then if anything else shows up, you'll have that challenge call available and just burn through this over and over and over again. So it's not really a priority. It is a hard rotation that spams these 2. That's it. And then so key binding. If you do not key bind, that's fine. but I would recommend that you key bind at least riposte, because what you're going to see is you're going to see this message is you're going to say insufficient focus or something like this. Target does not meet criteria or something like that. Who knows? It's going to I'm going to just spam one over and over and over. I'm going to do all this other things, and you can walk with your, even while you're, see, I'm walking with my right click and my primary click and secondary click if I have to walk and fill a gap. So that's possible, or you can just move your finger down and move the W and follow a target around. So you won't be moving too much as a tank in PvE. You'll just be kind of moving after things are dead. So let's go ahead and start this up. I'm going to have Master Ranos attack first, and I'm going to get over here. I'm going to slide away. And hit me anyway, that's fine. Skip it, and Riposte is on cooldown, so I've got to spam that. So I have nothing's on cooldown, so I'm going to hit this. Wait for it, number 4 is ready, so let's hit it. Number 4. Nothing else is ready, so I'm going to hit this until, oh, that's ready. I'm out of force. Alright, I'm going to hit Saber Slash. I'm at there, that's ready. Nothing else is ready. That's ready. It's almost ready. There it is. I'm gonna hit this just to wait for this. I want my Guardian. Yeah, there you go. I want this up. Nothing else is ready. There it is. And that's just about it. So I'm gonna knock this guy off the edge. I hope it goes off. He did not, so I gotta go and finish him. Oops, did it wrong order. So that's kind of how I do it, and you're basically never gonna lose. I mean, slash, something's ready, that's ready, that's ready, that's ready, that's ready. And 34 seconds, so make sure this guy's off. Oop, that was ready. Oh, requires effect not present. Yeah, that's what it says. Required effect not present. Got the force. Oh, there. Knock him off the edge. Alright. And that's all I got.